US Army top brass are shocked to their core because increasingly young white Americans don't want to join the US military. Gee, I wonder why.
White supremacy.
White supremacy.
White supremacy.
White rage.
US Navy is approaching a drag queen influencer to help persuade new recruits into joining the military.
Hello, my name is Admiral Rachel Levine.
In 2023, the US Army missed its recruitment goal of 65,000 soldiers, falling short by 10,000 soldiers. In 2018, there were over 44,000 white Army recruits, and every year since that's been in decline. 5 years later, in 2023, the number of white recruits has dropped to just over 25,000. So they've lost not far off half the amount of white recruits that they would normally expect to get. Now less than half, just 44% of all new US Army recruits are white, down from 56.4% in 2018. And although the percentage of black and Hispanic recruits has risen, that's only because they've become a greater total of the overall percentage because there are fewer white people. The actual number of black and Hispanic recruits has flatlined, and the fall in white recruits far outpaces any natural demographic change, so it's not that. Data experts and Army officials interviewed by military.com noted they don't see a single cause to the recruiting problem. They're totally baffled, suggesting it could be related to a growing obesity epidemic and an underfunded public education system. Could there be another reason why white Americans, overwhelmingly white men, are less keen on joining the US Army over the last 5 years? And could it have anything whatsoever to do with the fact that the Biden administration and military leadership have made it abundantly clear that they hate white men? Possibly some kind of connection there, maybe. Just maybe. Just a hint of a link between the president repeatedly vilifying white people as domestic extremists.
The most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today. White supremacy is terrorism.
The poison of white supremacy.
White supremacy.
And white people not wanting to represent a regime that puts them in the same bracket as Islamic terrorists. The then head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, gets up in front of Congress and goes on an insane rant about white people in America being a major terror threat.
I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote, woke. I want to understand white rage. White rage.
This after the country had just gone through nearly a solid year of Black Lives Matter demonstrators raging through the streets, attacking people, killing Trump supporters, burning down buildings, turning entire areas of major cities into lawless hellholes. Yeah, but them white people, though.
White rage.
Shortly before his white rage rant, Milley whined about the percentage of black people not being high enough in the US military. Well, it's a lot higher now. As far back as 2011, the media was amplifying the narrative that there were too many whites in the US military. Well, in 2023 compared to 2011 as a percentage, there are a lot fewer now. I mean, shouldn't you be happy? You got precisely what you asked for. Could the US military's recruitment shortfall, particularly of white men, have anything to do with who they're choosing to do the recruiting?
US Navy is approaching a drag queen influencer to help persuade new recruits into joining the military.
A drag queen influencer? Wow, so inspiring. Sign me up.
Yeoman second class Joshua Kelly, who goes by Harpy Daniels, announced back in November that he was the Navy's new digital ambassador. Their attempts to increase interest among young people amongst a historic recruitment crisis.
Oh yes, that massive pool of potential recruits to the US Army who are... checks notes. Into drag queen influence. Think young white men get surges of patriotism and rush down to the nearest recruiting centre when they see drag queen shows being held at US Air Force bases, when they see drag queen story time being planned for the children of military families, when they see military bases hosting hypersexualized performances by drag queens that include bouncy castles and face painting in a bid to encourage children to attend, when they see the Air Force tweeting images of service members saluting gay flags, when they read the touching story of the depressed transgender major, when they see new recruits being made to parade around in women's high heels, when they send active duty members on diversity hikes for Pride Month, when they see this.
Hello, my name is Admiral Rachel Levine. Happy Pride. Happy Pride Month, and actually, Let's declare it a summer of pride.
When they see what they're actually being sent to fight for, the chance to fly the Progress Pride flag and spread LGBTQism around the world, the chance to be cannon fodder for NATO because this clown already fed his own country's young men into a pointless meat grinder, the chance to get embroiled in an interminable ethnic blood feud thousands of miles away, the chance to die for Israel in a Middle Eastern quagmire under the command of President Nikki Haley. Respondents to the military.com article made it very clear why they're not interested in joining the US Army. It's almost like we don't want to risk our lives for a country that spits in our face daily. They'd be foolish to risk their lives defending a regime that hates them. Turns out when you spend a decade telling people they're evil, they and their kids don't want to fight in your wars anymore. Who could possibly have anticipated this? Yeah, no thanks.